Swoop has a dream about Frostwing. It's a warning that he will go on to do something he thinks is right for the colony, but endangers 2 lives. The stars tell her that she needs to confide in somebody what she knows that Bumble Ash has done, and that cat is Frostwing. They believe that he will be someone that is impartial compared to Clover Swoop, and that eventually he will do the right thing. Even though he's raised by Bumble Ash, he believes in Clover Swoop's story due to the fur she found in Brownbird's claws. He knows that smell belongs to his adopted mother, but he still wants to eventually question what Bumble Ash knows about Stag Slip, Owlshade, and Brownbird's deaths. Bumble Ash is critically wounded by a monster on the Thunderpath. She's too injured to carry out warrior's duties again, and she decides that she'll reside permanently in the nursery. But sometimes she'll sleep with Waterlight to keep him company. The injury is so critical that she has lost her front right leg in particular. She's still just as agile as any other warrior, but she just felt like she was better suited to staying in the nursery. Some cats notice the way that Frostwing is avoiding his adoptive mother's eyes, and sometimes when they do meet, they're filled with scorn. This is because that morning he went out with Bumble Ash and mustered up the courage to ask her what happened to Brownbird, Owlshade, and Stag Slip. That he's heard the fact that she was around when Brownbird was found. But really, that part was a bluff on his part. He didn't want to tell her that he learned about this from Clover Swoop. Bumble Ash isn't really ashamed of what she's done, so she confesses that she killed them. They weren't following the rules. They're better off dead anyway to her. As they approach the Thunderpath, monsters roll by behind Bumble Ash as she confesses her secret. And Frostwing is horrified by this tale. He was hoping that maybe, just maybe, Clover Swoop was wrong about her, but she wasn't wrong. When she tells him that they're better off dead anyway, he's convinced that she won't just stop killing even if he does talk to her. He makes a split decision and pushes Bumble Ash into the path of the monster. They hope that maybe she won't be able to kill anymore, but this isn't warrior cats, and cats with missing legs in real life are still able to run and hunt and play like normal. There are plenty of videos from cat owners showing this, and I'm not going to be treating this like warrior cats. Bumble Ash is missing a leg, but she's still capable of doing things after going through rehabilitation therapy. It's a lot to get used to suddenly, missing a leg. But she does pick up a few things again after playing moss ball very frequently with kittens in the nursery and just exercising her legs. It's more of a question if Bumble Ash is watched enough to where she can't get away with killing anymore. I'm going to take time to warn viewers that this next part involves heavily fictionally drawn gore. If you are uncomfortable with gore, I will note when the gory images end, so you can either put this video on in the background or tune in next time and I will have another summary of events just like this in the next video. I'm actually planning on doing a drawing going over each of our cats and where they're at emotionally, physically, with all the changes that have happened recently in this video. I hope to do more of those just whenever there are big changes that are happening like that in this video. Tall Whisker and Star Rubble go to check out the Thunderpath that critically injured Bumble Ash a few moons later, and unfortunately a monster was barely by too fast for her to get away from. The blood and gory images have ended, so if you want to look back on the video, now is the time to do so. This attack unfortunately leaves her critically injured, and when she recovers, all the cats notice that she has this unstoppable shaking. In real life, this is called shaken kitten syndrome, and it is a brain injury. Cats like this are still able to live a normal life, but for Star Rebel it is very debilitating, and she just thinks she needs to step down so they have a more capable leader that will be able to give every cat more attention. It's more so for her, I guess you would call a confidence thing. She doesn't feel confident that she can lead her colony anymore. It's harder for her to get to where she needs to go, but Waterlight is prepared to help her out as much as he can. On top of that, if there's any battles, she doesn't think she can help out as much as other cats since it takes her so long to move from one place to the other. Star Rebel is in her last life, and that's part of the reason she decided she would be able to step down. She looks at all the cats of her colony and evaluates all their strengths and weaknesses. Clover Swoop also looks to the stars for answers, and finally they both come to a decision. The new leader of the Sand Colony is Dusk, and she takes on Tall Whisker as her deputy. Star Dusk decides that there should always be a deputy from now on to avoid situations like this. Stardust was always hoping to be leader one day, but she wasn't really expecting to become leader like this. She's also had an apprentice in the past, so it isn't really a question if she's capable or not of leading. It's more so if she's ready to be leader. She chose Tall Whisker as her deputy because she believes that he's pretty experienced in the colony, and overall he's pretty well liked. He's also tough but fair with the apprentices he has had in the past. They both lead the colony with a tough but fair policies when cats get into too much trouble. While the colony is celebrating the newly appointed Dusk and Tall Whisker, Clover Swoop takes Dusk aside and tells her that they must go to the Moon Cave so Dusk can be given her lives from the stars. The Moon Cave's location is mostly a closely guarded secret between leaders, their deputies, healers, so Dusk is largely unsure where Clover Swoop is taking her. I want to briefly explain that I chose this route because I have future plans in mind for the colonies once I have them all introduced. I don't want to spoil things too much, but the basic idea for keeping it a secret is because I feel like if other cats knew about a secret pool where you can gain lives, they would take advantage of that or try to cut the connection of living cats to their ancestors like they've done in the books, I think. Clover Swoop leads her away from the Sand Colony territory and into the Gathering Grounds. This small spread of land is neutral territory for all of the colonies, and it mostly has forests, flowing rivers, and small caves. The biggest cave in the center has a large rock, and this is usually where gatherings are held with the other colonies. There are many openings branching off from this main rock, so usually the more experienced warriors keep a close eye on their apprentices during the gatherings in case they get lost. Clover Swoop picks one of these openings and guides Dusk into the darkness with ease. They walk like this for a while, when suddenly a starry pelt in the darkness walks alongside them, guiding them to their destination. One of the paths they're led down is filled with glittering pebbles, like stars in the sky on the roof of the cave. Finally, there's an opening and there's a small pool in the center. The ground is soft, like sand, on their paw pads. Dusk follows Clover Swoop's guidance and laps water from the pool, drifting off to sleep. She wakes up in the stars, and she's greeted by her adoptive son, Hailwind. Before she can say anything to him, Hailwind touches his nose to her head and says, "With this life, I give you the strength to not just defend your colony, but the strength to defend your family through the hard times." She feels calm from this life, feeling strength enter from where his nose is touching her head to all the way down to her tail tip. He disappears and is replaced by a cat that Dusk has never seen before. She also touches her head and says, "My name is Dandelion Glimmer. With this life, I give you kindness to not just your colony mates, but also kindness to the other colonies. Sometimes the hardest thing is to know when others don't deserve your kindness, and I hope you remember that well, because I didn't. At first, life she was given makes her feel warm, but this is quickly replaced by a searing pain of protectiveness. Dandelion Glimmer steps away, and she's replaced by Holly Ash. Holly Ash smiles as she touches her head with her nose. With this life I give you compassion. This is something you have worked very hard to understand with your colony mates, but now you must use this skill to understand the other colonies. I hope you use this skill well. This life sends an overwhelming feeling of sadness, but also a searing pain. Finally, the last cat steps forward. This is our guide to the stars from the game, Whirlclaw. He was an apprentice at the time he passed on to the stars. He has to reach a little bit taller than the other cats to touch his nose to Dusk Spring's head. With this life, I give you curiosity. Use this skill to learn more about your colony mates, to also learn from other colonies. Beware that sometimes curiosity can lead to truths that you do not wish to accept. I'm afraid this is the final life the stars can give you, but I'm sure you will use all these skills till your dying breath. Your name will now be Stardust. Serve your colony well. I also want to explain that cats in this universe only get a total of 5 lives upon being named leader. Since Star Rebel is still alive, Stardust can only be given 4 lives from the stars. This is largely a personal choice because I want to give the leader's death more meaning than the original series tends to do. For example, in The Omen of the Stars, I really felt like they were just killing Firestar off, where they could just have at the end of the series, we would start fresh with Bramblestar. One of the deaths of that series that didn't really end up meaning much was the one where he died from green cough. Just didn't have that many stakes for me, and a lot of the times they don't even show the leaders lose some of their lives. I also feel like it's more interesting narratively because while they do have more lives than the average cat, they still have to be careful. They can't just recklessly go into battle and die over and over. It's definitely fun if you enjoy the 9 lives of the series. Again, this is just a personal choice, and I just find it more interesting. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time very soon.